All right, we are live and welcome back to another episode of Hail Yes, a Michigan football and basketball podcast by the Detroit Free Press. I am Andrew Burkle, of course, joined by our Michigan beat writer, Tony Garcia. And Tony, the culmination of a dominant season is here. Michigan basketball is heading back to the Final Four for the first time since 2018 after another dominant weekend. First beating Alabama 90-77 and then annihilating Tennessee 95-62. Whew. Michigan is the number one defense in the nation on KenPom, but has now scored 90 points or more in all four NCAA tournament games. But the work isn't done. The Arizona Wildcats, the only team maybe in the country who can probably say they've been equally as dominant as Michigan this season, is up next in Indianapolis. So, Tony, you were there for it all in Chicago, man. But before we look forward to Arizona, what was your biggest takeaway from the weekend?
That Michigan is back to Las Vegas form, or as Nimari Burnett told me on the court post game, Chicago form. They're not looking back. Like they've been trying to recapture everything. I mean, they didn't fall off this year, right? I mean, they're 35-3. They won the Big Ten outright by 4 games, which was proven to be the best league in the country. They didn't lose on the road in true road games, so it's not like they ever stumbled. But just the margin of victory that caught everyone's eye early, 30-point win San Diego State, 30-point win Auburn, 40-point win Gonzaga. When the hype train really reached, I mean, it was full steam ahead from that moment on, that Thanksgiving week. But Michigan, I mean, it's just hard to do that, right? Like teams don't beat teams by 30, 40 points. Michigan set a Big Ten record with 7 wins by 40 or more this season. So they did things that nobody has ever done in this league. And so the standard they set for themselves was nearly impossible to uphold. And yet here they are, having done exactly that. I mean, you mentioned scoring 90 points in every game this tournament. They've won the past 4 games by a combined 92 points. So that's 23 points per game on average. And that's with
That'll do.
I mean, yeah, not bad, right? And that's with, I mean, 2 of these games, in 3 of these games, the deep reserves played, right? Like against St. Louis late, against Howard late, and then obviously the infamous Charlie May 3 that was just 2 feet in front of me on yesterday, Sunday in Chicago, which was just like an indescribably cool moment for him, for Dusty, for the team. The celebration of, I mean, the bench afterwards. I mean, I saw a video like Yaxel. I mean, his towel was like 25 rows up. I mean, he threw that thing to the rafters. They were just going absolutely berserk. And yeah, I mean, 95-62, winning by 33 points in the Elite Eight. Just unconscious. That 21-0 run in the first half, I think of all the dominant basketball they've played, I think that was the best 8-minute stretch of the entire season. They held in like a 7+ minute span of game time. They held Arizona to 1 of 13 shooting, and they made 7 of 8 field goals, all their free throws, 21-0 run. I mean, it was just play after play after play. Just the extra pass, it was unbelievable. I mean, the way they had the ball on a string, that is the Michigan team that people are talking about, where I mean, there is no stopping that. There's absolutely no stopping that when they are clicking like that. Now we'll get into Arizona, and they may have some answers, or certainly, I think I'm very confident in saying Arizona will not lose this game by 33 points. Nor will Michigan. It's not going to be a 33-point game. Probably closer to a 3.
Bold call.
But yeah, I know, that's why they pay me. But just the cohesion on both sides of the ball, the dominance, and then I think the 1B to that is Yaxel Lendeborg. I mean, all season long, he was finding his way to fit into this team. Then it was about January when he said, like, he realized, he's like, they didn't come here for me to just be like everyone. He's like, everyone on this team has a role to play, but I didn't come here. They didn't bring me here to be a role player. And his natural inclination is to try to fit in with the team. Just his aggression, 3 straight points, 3 straight games of 20 or more. 27 in the regional final, named most outstanding player of the regional, and it wasn't close. So he is at top form. He comes off a game against Alabama where I think it was 23, 12, and 7. He's the first player to score 20 points, have 10 rebounds, and at least, I think it was 5, maybe it was 7 assists, but to hit most of those benchmarks since 2 players did it in 2003. Those guys had pretty decent careers. Their names are Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony. And Dwayne Wade led Marquette to a Final Four that year, and Melo, as a star freshman at Syracuse, won the national championship. So as the kids say, no notes, right? Like no notes. I mean, it was a clinic. It made my job quite easy, right? I mean, when you do something like that in the first half, you can start writing early and then setting up for the post game. I mean, the post game celebration, it really struck me because that was the first time I really have seen them like truly celebrate. It was kind of a muted celebration when they won the Big Ten regular season title, and they celebrated after beating Michigan State on senior day at Chrysler Center. That was because, I mean, they had won it 10 days earlier, right? Like it wasn't fresh. It wasn't a tight game. I mean, it was tight for a while, but it wasn't like they won on in UConn fashion yesterday or anything like that. And so that was more business. Like this one, Roddy Gale said after the game in the locker room, he characterized it as a relief to make the Final Four. He's like, I mean, just the weight of the expectations that this team has had for months and months now, not making the Final Four would have been a massive, massive disappointment. That doesn't mean it's easy to do. I mean, again, just ask Duke, but Michigan made it look easy the whole way through. There was never a moment in any of these games where they were going to lose them. Not one. And so this regional was, you win a regional by 46 points, the same margin that you won the opening weekend by. It's just they are humming. And I mean, we could talk individually more about each of these players. So many people did so many things well. And if anything, Morris Johnson was not great. Like it was not great. It was not very good. Morris Johnson, I would say it was probably one of the worst 2-game stretches of his season. And if you're blowing the doors off of teams, one that is the number 1 offense in the nation in Alabama that just gets up and down. Tennessee is one of the best defenses in the nation, has a very imposing front line. They were the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country coming into the game. And you're not getting Morris Johnson at his best, and you're sleepwalking to a win. Just awesome, fabulous stuff. Dusty May, elite. As elite as they come. We've known that for months, and it just that hire is going to go down in the lore of Michigan athletics. Getting him to come here to Ann Arbor over Louisville, over Vanderbilt. Ohio State was in the mix for a while, but then Jake Diebler had a pretty nice end of the season when he took over for Chris Holtmann, and they just gave him the keys. I think Michigan knows all too well about not giving the keys to an assistant coach who works under someone who had success, even though Michigan's case was football and there was notably more success. So I know that was a lot, but a lot of thoughts from a game like that. It could set the post-game scene more, but just I want to hear what your vantage was. I mean, watching on TV, because like you get to hear the broadcast and things I don't get at the same time. So I'm curious what they were saying.
Well, I mean, it kind of felt to me, and I jotted this down, but the perfect segue from you is just like it felt like every Michigan blowout win of the season in a lot of ways, or most of them this season, where it's like for the first 5, 6, 8 minutes, similar to the Alabama game where it went into the first half, you're just kind of waiting for the onslaught, right? Like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Are you going to be able to survive it? It's coming. And the only times it really didn't come this year were the Wisconsin games and the Wisconsin game, the Duke game, and Purdue, right? Outside of that, it felt like almost every game this year there was that run that would come for Michigan, and it was just too much to handle. And this is the best possible version of that, right? They were kind of pushing them around early, right? Tennessee had the physicality. And that was kind of a cliche talking point, but really Tennessee brought the physicality early. And then all at once, it just boom, flipped. And Michigan was just off and running and never to be stopped again, right? And it can be, I think we've talked about in the past that it can be a little, uh, unsustainable to rely on those kind of rallies. But like at this point, it's just the sample size is so huge that you can count on this from Michigan. And it just felt like, yep, here it comes again. The onslaught is coming. The snowball is rolling downhill. And next thing you know, Yaxel's always hitting the timely three. Like it feels like Trey McKinney is always hitting the timely three, right? And Amari Burnett's hitting those timely shots. It just feels like all that comes together at one time for Michigan, and it just is too much for any team in the country to handle. Now, Arizona might be that team who could handle or maybe wouldn't let Michigan get to that point. And I did want to ask you about this, and you kind of mentioned it. So Evan Mia, who has these player rankings, I think it's a great tool to check in, and I try to look at it. I don't like to look at it that often. I like to come back and look at it maybe once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks. So you kind of have like a refresh. And so I had it jotted down here, and that's what made me think of it. It was on some old piece of paper with coffee on it. It was the player rankings from the Michigan State game. So Yaxel was second. He's still second. And Merez Johnson was second on the team. And he was the 11th highest rated player in the country. So since then, Adai Mara has taken a huge leap up the leaderboard. So I'll give you a clue, Tony. He was 62nd in the nation, Adai Mara, back when Michigan played Michigan State on January 30th. Do you want to guess where he might be now?
I mean, I have a hard time thinking he's not top 10. I mean, my gut wants to tell me 10 to 15. So I'll go like 14, 13.
Okay. I may have oversold it then. He's number 19 in the nation. So
that's not that far off.
But he is third in the country in defense. And his offense is continued to be more impactful. But to go from 62nd to 19, when you had that big of a sample size in the books at the time, Merez has fallen down to 21st. And then Elliot Cadeau is 50, I think he's 49th. So it's Michigan has 4 essentially top 50 players in the country. Now, that sounds absurd, right? Well, Arizona has 4 top 51 players in the country. Koa Pete is 51st. And then Jaden Bradley is 46th. And then, I'm going to control F so I can look at this thing here. Braden Burries is 14th. And then Krivas, the big man, is 36th. So Michigan, if you're going just based off that talent, the top end, the top 4 guys, Michigan and Arizona are, I mean, that's unbelievable. They have 8 of the top 50 players in the country with 300 plus teams in the nation, right? That's absurd. Now, Michigan has Yaxel, who's the second best player in the country and played like it. And he seems like now, I mean, you throw out the first 2 Big Ten tournament games, this guy is delivering in all the biggest games of the year, right? He dominated the 2 Michigan State games, played awesome against Duke. Then he rolls in the last 2 NCAA tournament games. It's just like, it feels like that it's kind of the basketball cliche, but the biggest games, you feel like the shots are going in when it matters, right?
It's exactly what general manager and assistant coach Kyle Church said to me right when after the Nets were finished cutting down. I mean, that's what Yaxel has done, right? Like, I mean, and all year long, Michigan, I mean, the only slight knock, and you had to really search for it, was there were times Michigan would play down to its competition, right? Like you're in a tight game against Oregon in the second half. You're down 16 at Northwestern in the second half, and that's going to happen. Like you're not going to just blow everybody out by 30 as much as everyone thinks. Well, everyone knows his team is capable of on a given night and thinks that's how it should happen. It's just not how it goes. Nobody in the country does that, even Michigan and even Arizona, right? But now, I mean, just the moments are so bright and the lights are so bright. Michigan is bringing the juice. I would say from the tip, but there is a little bit of a feeling out process that you were talking about, like that physicality. I mean, so now we get to sit courtside for these NCAA tournament games, which is awesome. And like, you can just hear it and feel it, like the floor vibrating literally. And so it is a different vantage. So take it with a grain of salt. But I was sitting with Sean Windsor, our columnist, and said to him, I was like, this first 8 minutes, this is the most physical game I've seen all year. Like Michigan, Tennessee, like Tennessee was banging. Like they were bringing it to Michigan. But the thing is, that was Tennessee's fastball, and they didn't have any off speed, right? Like Michigan Michigan has so many different ways it can slice and dice you. And and when Axel Lendeborg is doing what he's done the last 3 games, which is 11 of 19 from 3-point range, night, it's over. It's over. There's nothing you can do.
There is no off speed pitch or counter to that, right? If you want to put it in boxing terms, if he's shooting like that, and everybody plays better when they're hitting shots, right? That's obvious. But the confidence that he plays with on offense, once he sees a couple shots go in, feels like that's ultimately what takes Michigan to the next level of being almost unbeatable, right? Because all of a sudden he had that really nice finish when he put his left shoulder in and kind of finished with the right hand over off the side of the glass, and like he's just getting to more of his bag rather than just kind of sometimes we've said that he can float. That was kind of his tendency. Maybe a little bit would float out to the 3-point line a little bit too much, right? When he's such a dominant player inside. And when it's almost like the opposite. When the first one goes in, it's just like, oh boy, now he's going to be attacking downhill. And it makes sense to a degree because the defense is going to respect him a bit more as a shooter. But when he plays like that, there's nothing you can do. And he continues to level up his game and just do everything that he does a little bit better, right? Which makes sense for an all-around player like him.
Yeah, he's had how many just massive drives and slams like that dunk against St. Louis the rim is still rattling from that. He against Tennessee in the Elite Eight.
Coast to coast.
He goes coast to coast. He sort of gets the ball with a head of steam right near mid court. Maybe 2 or 3 dribbles like Giannis. He takes off from the right block, goes up and under, finishes an and one with like some lefty spin English on the ball. And that was the beginning. Like he had just hit 2 free throws. They both bounced around and in. But he got those free throws, and Sean did a great job. Windsor did a great job pointing this out. And I was thinking it at the same time. When he got those free throws, he took it so aggressively. Michigan was down 16-15 in that moment. 21-0 run from the moment Yaxel explodes up court, and he does it a couple possessions in a row. He kicks out to a Roddy 3. And then the passing clinic was on, but it's just that aggression. He is 6'9", 235, and he's got he's tightening up his handle. He can shoot. Nobody is saying he's going to be this player. Okay, so do not take this out of context. But his nickname is Dominican Braun for a reason. Just the sheer size and athleticism. It is a light junior version of it. But at the college level, that's what it looks like. That is what it looks like. The way Adai Mara says it, and he's like Dominican Braun. And I was talking with a media member, and we're like, that's going to be like the new vocal stem for every time he was making a play, we're just saying to each other, we're like Dominican Braun. It's just so funny. But freak show. He's making himself a lot of money, and you could see I was talking to him after the game on the court as well, and the first question I asked him is just like what's going through your mind right now, just of all the things you could be thinking. And he was and the first thing he said was it was a big risk coming here. Yes, they're of course he's going to get paid and this and that, but he had a first round NBA grade. He was going to a city with a coaching staff he had no ties to, trying to play a different role than what he was used to. And that it doesn't just work, right? There's no guarantee that just happens. And he bet on himself. It was easy for the staff to bet on him. Everyone would have wanted Yaxel if they could get him. And here he is, right? He's the Big Ten Player of the Year, first team All-American, Big Ten champion, Final Four. There's one thing left to do. Technically it's 2 games, but there's one net left to cut. And Michigan is every bit the favorite that you would think they would be going in. And this semifinal, I don't know if we want to keep if there's anything left to talk about the Elite. Here, there is. I'm going to cut myself off. How about a moment for Roddy Gale Jr.? How about a moment for March Roddy? What he has done, and we're asking him after if this is March Roddy, what's April Roddy? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I've never played in April. Like he's like, I'm hoping it's just a better version of this. But his confidence.
I was trying to think of like a Mahdi, but a Prati. I couldn't, because I was like, A to Roddy doesn't work, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll workshop it.
We'll workshop it.
But he has 8 3-pointers in the NCAA tournament. If you want to go backwards from the postseason to get his last 8 threes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you have to go back. He had 8 threes from December 13th through March 15th. 3 months. He had 8 threes. He has, I guess he has 7 threes now. All right. So you got to go back one more game before that, December 21st to March 15th. But I think the point remains. He has 3 games with multiple threes. He had 1 game this year where he hit more than a 3-pointer the entire year. That was,
it's just funny because it's like,
against Auburn in Vegas.
There's certain basketball players like, like Robert Horry. There was the aura and the obviously much bigger sample size, but like some guys just constantly hit big shots when it matters most. Like Roddy Gale is not a shooter during the regular season. Like it's just sample size after sample size proves it. But then, when you factor in what he did last year in March, where he completely elevated his game after, Michigan's team was not as talented last year. They needed a little bit more from Roddy Gale than he was able to give them. They solved that by bringing in the
26 against A&M to propel them to the Sweet 16.
He completely brings it to the next level. It's like, okay, well, maybe that was a fluke. Well, then when you do it 2 years in a row, it's like, okay, well, basketball, especially college basketball, is by definition a small sample size sport, right? So like at this point, like all we know is that he steps up his game in March, and that is exactly what Michigan needed, and literally the player that you would highlight because of LJ Cason's injury, right? That's like the guy. And Bill Raftery was talking about it on the broadcast, who, I just can never get enough of him. Did you see the reaction video of him watching the the UConn game?
You saw his soul leave his body. And Grant Hill right next to him, who's just in shambles, but trying to remain. He did a good job remaining professional. That's a tough moment, even if you are in that seat. But yeah, I did see the video.
And maybe I'm getting mixed up. It was either him or Steve Lapis, but one of them was like the only and because Steve was in Chicago, but I thought I heard it on the UConn game. They were talking about Michigan, and they're talking about like, well, the only thing that you would point to is well, they lost their backup point guard who tore his ACL, and like that would be the only issue. Like the only roster question you'd have on this entire team would be, well, they could use a backup point guard. Well, they had one of the best ones in the country, in LJ Cason, and yet it's still like, if you didn't know that, and like all the casuals tuning in for March, they're like, oh, like this team, you would never guess that they're missing someone who we identified as one of the most important players, because it just feels like that we keep banging the drum, but like it feels like their margin for error is back against all the other teams. But will it be a different story against Arizona? So let's take a quick break. We'll talk about the Wildcats on the other side. Stick with us on the live, or we'll take a quick break on the podcast, and we'll be right back. All right, Tony, we're back. Arizona and Michigan, I just looked it up on DraftKings as we were talking here. They are, if you look at the future odds, Michigan plus 175, Arizona plus 175. Michigan is a slight favorite in the actual game, 1.5, but that's a spread that we've seen flip recently. Michigan State was a favorite over UConn by 1.5 points. Originally, by the time games started, it was 1.5 points for UConn. So it's right in that zone where it can go back and forth. Essentially, these teams are seen as dead even, with maybe a slight edge to Michigan. Why is Arizona so good? We know why Michigan's a buzzsaw. We've talked about it at nauseum on this podcast. Why is Arizona in that same class?
Because they're just as good. Even if they don't have like the same high-end talent, they have the depth, they have the size. I want to just sort of like set the stage for the magnitude of this game, because yes, it's a Final Four, and yes, it's 1 seed on 1 seed, but this is even more than that, right? Like this has, and you never know if a game's going to live up to the billing, live up to the hype. I expect this will, but KenPom has a thing called Thrill Score, which is exactly what it sounds like, right? Like just like all the
They totally nailed that, right?
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful tool and chart, and it ranks essentially the talent, the records, the magnitude of the game, and all of that. This is the highest thrill score ever in KenPom history, which dates back to 1997. So the thrill score is 92.8. I don't know how it's not 100 on the dot. I don't even know if it's out of 100, but I digress. The highest thrill score game ever. Michigan is the number 3 KenPom team of all time. Arizona is number 4. So in the past 2.5 decades, there have only been 2 teams, both Duke, in different years, that were at this level or slightly higher. I mean that, and they didn't meet anyone else who was at their level. So for these 2 teams to square off, I mean, it's just, I mean, this is the unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Something's going to have to give, and you just don't know what it is. But I mean, how are they this good? Michigan is number 5 in offensive efficiency and number 1 in defensive efficiency. Arizona is number 4 in offensive efficiency, and they're number 2 in defensive efficiency. So 5-1 versus 4-2. I mean, it is like nails, like inches, millimeters apart. Arizona just does so much well. Number 2 in effective field goal defense. Number 2 in 2-point shooting defense. Number 5 in offensive rebounding. Number 7 in average height. That's important when you're playing Michigan, right? They average 6'7" across the board, right? Like, it's not just a big front line, and yes, they have a big front line, but their guards, their wings are lengthy. And then if you just looked at depth of the roster, they have 5 players who are scoring 10 or more points a game, 6 players scoring 9 or more a game, and 7 scoring 8.5 or more a game. I mean, that's almost identical to Michigan. And I mean, they've got a senior guard in Jaden Bradley, who is a dog. Like, that's the type of player. Like, I mean, he's not the same player by any means as Yaxel, but they have a guy. But they don't need him to be spectacular. Braden Burries, who is a freshman, leads their team in scoring. Koa Pete, who's a freshman, is second on the team in scoring. You got Krivas, the center, who you mentioned earlier, a 7'2" junior. He's averaging 10 and 8 a game. Tobe Awaka, the senior, he's putting up 9 and 9 a game. Having the best year of his career. Like, he just keeps taking the next step. As a freshman, he spent 2 years at Tennessee. He was 3 and 3 as a freshman, then 5 and 5 as a sophomore, 8 and 8 as a senior or as a junior, and now 9 and 9 as a senior. He just keeps progressing. And then Ivan Karchenkov, who's also a freshman. Karchenkov, I think he's from German. He's from Germany. He sounds Russian, but you would think that. I mean, I guess it's not Croatia, so maybe that's why he's not on Illinois. But all these big Eastern European guys you just figure are going to go to Illinois. But, I mean, he's putting up 10 points, 4 boards, 2.5 assists a game, right? Just so well-rounded. There are no weaknesses on this team. Like, we've talked about the color sheet on KenPom, and that bright fluorescent green is the best. The lighter shades of green are still very good. Red is the problem area. The only problem area is on defense, non-steal turnovers. They're 326th, which means teams don't just like throw the ball away against them. But it's not even like, I mean, their steal percentage is 10%. So it's still 117. It's still like, it's not elite, but it's the top third of the country. And then another just like style note that I am not sure how telling it is or isn't. There are 365 teams. Arizona is 363rd in 3-point attempts per field goal attempt. 26.4% of their field goal attempts are threes. Alabama was more than double that at 53.9%. So, I mean, you saw what they jack up, 47 threes. So this probably won't even be half of that. It probably won't get to 23. It'll probably be somewhere in that 18 range. So,
yep.
I mean, if they go 8 of 18, that's edge Arizona. If they go 4 of 18, that's obviously edge Michigan. 6 of 18 is probably right around where that water will hold. I guess maybe 7 of 18, it would be more because they shoot it at about 37%. So they're 37 in the nation in 3-point shooting. It's not like it's a bad 3-point shooting team. They just have so much size. They just bludgeon people inside. So how does that play out against Michigan, which I believe is still the top 2-point defense in the country? Let me see. Okay, they're third in 2-point defense. And Arizona is second in 2-point defense. So, Michigan is second in 2-point offense, right? So, I mean, just this game is, I feel like a lot of it is going to be determined inside, right? Like which one of these massive lineups that has imposed its will on the other team night in, night out is going to be able to do that on Saturday.
We learned this weekend that Michigan can handle multiple different styles, even more so than we already kind of knew that. They've played so many different ways this year, but we saw, I should say, that Michigan can handle multiple different styles. And Alabama, who was like the ultimate 3-point jacking team, and they were hitting them a little bit, and the pace seemed to, that I think that the pace of the first half of the Sweet 16 game was in favor of Alabama, and then Michigan finds a way and just crushes them. And then Tennessee, early on, they come out with physicality. And it's seemed to, at least the game score had Michigan playing maybe a little bit uncomfortably, and then they figure it out and end up obviously destroying them. What do you think Arizona could do, and what do you think they'll try to do to make Michigan uncomfortable?
I wish I could talk to Michigan staff and see what they've seen on film. Because the whole game is right. Is like, what are you guessing? What are they going to take away? Right? What do they see as our weakness? And that's what's so hard to predict with Michigan, because they just don't have a weakness. I mean, I think you have to try. I mean, and it's a pretty futile effort. I mean, you need to try to neutralize the axle. And how do you do that? Right? Like the plan for Alabama was, Nate Oates was saying, we don't want him getting rim runs where he can drive and kick, and we don't want him like posting up down low. So they wanted him to have to shoot his way out of it. He went 3 of 4, he went 4 of 5 on threes. So that plan didn't work very well. And then if you give too many resources to Yaxel, he can create. He can get it to Cadeau, we didn't talk about Elliot Cadeau, who was just masterful in the regional, 10 assists against Tennessee. He can find Morez and Mara, who they win most one-on-one matchups. I don't know if they're going to be able to win those matchups against Krivas and Awaka. I mean, it's just going to be such a heavyweight fight. I don't even know. Like, it's just going to be punch, counter punch. I know that's a bad answer. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know what the style is. Nobody has proven that they can take things away from Michigan. The closest anyone has come is a 5-out team, and that was earlier in the year. Nebraska, who gave them fits, Wisconsin, who gave them fits. St. Louis tried to do it, but just didn't have the horses to run the race. And you spread Michigan out, pull a die away from the basket, and then you sort of back cut them and you move the ball. And if a die's not up on your big who can shoot, he fires. And if he is, then you run some screens elsewhere on the court and try to exploit a mismatch somewhere else. But Arizona doesn't have that personnel really. Where they're going to pull you a ton. I don't know if Krivas hardly. I mean, he's shooting 31% from 3. I don't think it's on real volume.
No, I was just looking this up as we were talking.
Yeah.
0.3 attempts per game.
Yeah.
Obviously we talked about they're not shooting a ton of them anyways, right? But they don't have that Wisconsin stretch big that you'd have to worry about where it's like, oh boy, that's the matchup problem for Mara, or that's could be troublesome for Morez and Mara, or one of them out by the perimeter a lot. That's not really what they do. Karanchoff, he shoots 2.7 attempts per game, but he's only 31%, and he's about 6'8", I think. So, it's not on the surface. And I'm not going to say Arizona's a good matchup for anybody. They're not. They present tons of problems, but they don't have the one thing that Michigan has been exposed against a little bit this year in that stretch big, who can punish Mara out when he sinks in coverage a little bit. Now, Michigan, Purdue kind of did it a little bit differently, right?
Just going to say that.
With Trey Kaufman-Renn hitting the floaters and kind of exposing the drop coverage in a different way than shooting. But if you were just going on its surface analysis, no, they don't have that one troublesome matchup.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing, right? Like, that's why Purdue in some way, I mean, Michigan would rather have seen Purdue, I think, than Arizona, but Michigan's whole MO is like inefficient shots, right? Don't let them shoot threes, which you can make at a much lower clip to still get the same results as twos, and don't let teams get around the basket. But when TKR has that 8-foot, 10-foot push shot, that is normally what Michigan is trying to force people to take, but that's like the essence of his bag. That just was tough. And so, but Arizona, these bigs are more like, I mean, these are like back to the basket bigs. Like they like to establish down low, and I mean, they get offensive rebound. I mean, again, they're top 5 in offensive rebounding. They get a ton of work done on putbacks, and so it's just gonna. I mean, if you're Michigan, I saw a stat the other day. I think Michigan is undefeated, like 22-0. I mean, they're undefeated in most situations, but I think they're 22 or 23-0 when they shoot 37% or better from long range. And they're going to be playing in Lucas Oil Stadium. That is a massive backdrop. We have seen historically throughout the years that playing at these NFL stadiums and these big domes, I mean, it messes with your sightlines, right? Like it does. The depth perception is just different than shooting in a normal gym. And so Michigan has to, I mean, I'm not saying they have to hit 45%, but if it's anything below 33%, and they have been shooting the lights out lately, it just feels like every game they are shooting well from three. And so if they don't have another very solid shooting night, which they well could, that would be another probably area for concern, especially because, I mean, it's not like Michigan takes a ton of threes. 42% of their threes or of their shots are from three, which is a good amount, but that's 137th in the nation. But that is more than Arizona. And so if that was like an equal factor for both teams, the more you take, the more variance there's going to be on just that night. So, I mean, I think this is going to be, I mean, hashtag thrill score, right? Like this is just going to be an awesome game.
Heck of a matchup. You shared your early prediction. You have Michigan pulling it out barely. If they do that, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but we should probably talk about the other side of the bracket real quick, because that's obviously the end goal is to beat Arizona and get to the championship game. UConn, if you're listening to this podcast, you know what happened. The stunner of the tournament, that shot. I mean, that'll be talked about for years. In Duke circles, years in UConn circles, and it's it became like a national moment to a degree as well. Taking on Illinois, who the bracket broke their way a little bit, but they took care of business. They beat Houston early on in the Sweet 16, so they got their opportunity. They got their key win done early, and then they got Iowa, who wasn't necessarily easy. They were playing well. They took down Nebraska. But what do you make of that matchup? And is there a team that you think Michigan would rather see?
I think it doesn't matter which one they see. I think the national championship is the semifinal. And I think whoever comes out on top, Michigan or Arizona, whether they play Illinois or UConn, is going to win it all. Maybe you could say, I mean, I've heard the argument that Michigan is so tough to game plan for quickly, right? And if you haven't seen them and you haven't felt their physicality and their size and their speed, then it can just hit you out of nowhere, and no matter how much you try to prep for it. And in that sense, Illinois has already felt it once. They have some data points about what worked and mostly what didn't work on that night in Champaign. So they might have a few more answers. Then again, Danny Hurley has never lost after the Sweet 16. He won back-to-back titles in 23 and 24. They got bounced before the Sweet 16 last year, and they're still alive in the Final Four. They beat Michigan State, and then they beat Duke. And I mean, that was like the bloodbath regional, right? With St. John's in there as well. And so I don't think you'd feel great about playing Danny Hurley in a national title game. And also just for the whole Big Ten thing, I think it'd be cool if Illinois and Michigan were in it, just to sort of really put the cherry on top of this was the most dominant league, which I don't think there's much doubt about anymore. Even if somehow it's UConn or Arizona that wins it all, I don't think anyone's going to say like, oh, like the Big Ten was incapable. Like Michigan is clearly capable of winning the title. It might not.
The only
shake out that
outcome
way.
now would be if like UConn slaps around Illinois a little bit and Michigan loses like a close one to Arizona. Everyone will be like, oh, Big Ten choked again. Big Ten choked again. But like when you zoom out years later, people will still talk about how good of a year it was for the Big Ten. But like you could see that being a small narrative as far as like people discussing that. But there is a sneaky rivalry between Illinois' fan base and Michigan's fan base. Like Michigan fans like do not like Illinois fans and vice versa. So that would certainly add some extra stakes to that game.
Yeah, no, it would. And so I don't think it. I think again the semifinal is the toughest game remaining. Now Michigan can't think that way. I mean, you can't just go into a national championship assuming you get there thinking like this is ours. But I could see it being one of those games where 10 minutes left, you can smell it. You can smell it. You're like, this thing is about to be like, we're about to wrap this up. And so it's so much of it is going to come down to, I mean, obviously this Saturday, right? Like if Michigan can survive that, because it's funny, Michigan has won. They've played in, this is going to be their 9th Final Four. I think they've won 7 straight. Now, technically in the record books, they've had 7 Final Fours because the 92 and 93 Final Fours were wiped out with the Fab Five because of the sanctions and all those things. But the games were still played. And so this is going to be their 9th Final Four. They have won 7 in a row. And they're, I think, 1-6 in championship games, or 1-5 in
that's crazy.
This would be their 7th in a row. I don't know. I don't have it exactly, but I mean, they've lost the title game so many times in a row, right? Twice with the Fab Five. They lost it with twice under Beeline. So the Final Four has not been the problem for this program. It's been the last game. And so in some ways, front loading it with the toughest game remaining, objectively, statistically, it could be one of those. It could be a victory lap sort of Monday night situations. And so, and I don't know. I mean, it feels like we're sort of wrapping up, and I'm not going to get into the X's and O's because, I mean, I didn't get to see any of it because we were covering the basketball games, but could be a really, really historic week for one of the best athletic programs in the country. Michigan hockey back in the Frozen Four for the 3rd time in 4 years. Had to survive Minnesota Duluth, right? Like they were up 4-1. They're up 3-0 early, 4-1. Yep. Yeah, a couple bang goals, and it's 4-3 with 3 minutes left, but they got it done. They're going to Vegas. I don't think I'll be going. I have other engagements and life things. We'll probably have to talk about that off air to come up with a schedule or a plan. But that could happen. And we are recording on Monday, March 30th. Michigan women play Texas in their Elite Eight tonight at 7 on ESPN. So if they win, Michigan will be the first athletic program in history to have both men's and women's hoops reach the Final Four and the hockey team reach the Frozen Four all in the same week. I caught up with Ward Manuel a couple times this past week, and this guy has been jet setting. He was in Chicago on Friday, flew to Fort Worth for Friday for the Michigan men's Sweet 16 against Alabama, flew to Fort Worth for the women's Sweet 16 against, now I'm forgetting, was that one Louisville? Who'd they play in the Sweet 16? Yep. Okay. It's all blending together against Louisville, then back to Chicago for the Elite Eight against Tennessee, and now he's back in Fort Worth for that Elite Eight against Texas. And I think he's going to try. So the women will play in Phoenix, and it's staggered. The women are first. So the women Final Four is Friday, and then the championship is Saturday. My understanding is if they're in the Final Four, he's going to be in Phoenix on Friday, Indy on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sunday. On Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday, Tuesday?
No, the women are Friday, Sunday, I believe, right?
Yeah. Friday,
Yeah,
Sunday.
you said
So
Saturday.
Friday. Oh no, Friday Phoenix, Saturday
Yeah.
Indy, Sunday Phoenix, Monday Indy. If both teams make it all the way, and then later in the week, Thursday Vegas, and then the next Saturday would be the championship in Vegas. So a lot of teams knocking on the door for some titles.
Load up that corporate jet, baby. It's going to be getting some usage. So, yeah, I think unless you have any final thoughts, it was an amazing week for Michigan. Obviously, could be topped off with a win over Texas. It'd be a pretty sizable upset. You know, Texas is a 1 seed and pretty favored to win over Michigan. But don't put it past Kim Barnes-Arico at this point. I mean, she has shown that she's got that thing rolling, and that sophomore class is really taking it up a notch for this program. So with all that said, appreciate you guys all listening to the show, joining us in live. Catch us on the feed, or your podcast feed, wherever you guys look for those. We'll have that up either late tonight or early tomorrow morning, Tuesday. So check that out as well if you didn't get to hear the whole show. And of course, thank you to our acting sports editor, Ryan Ford, our editor-in-chief, Nicole Avery Nichols, and Robin Chan, the editor and producer of this podcast, who makes it all happen. We can't do it without him. So appreciate everyone for joining, and we'll talk to you guys on Sunday for a podcast if Michigan does beat Arizona and is heading to the national championship game.